Today, stand down, Agent. You're being released Q2 2018 now. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint, where this week we are broadcasting from our temporary set in Studio B of the new LRR Moonbase, not to be confused with Studio A, where we were last week.
If all goes according to plan, the next checkpoint will be on our new permanent set in Studio C.
If not, I guess we'll just keep moving until we find our set or get past Studio Z.
At which point, I think the flat earthers believe we'll fall off the edge of the world.
A couple weeks ago, it was announced that Crackdown 3 is being delayed again, bumping from its November 7th, 2017 release to spring 2018. That'll make the release nearly 4 years since the game was originally announced at E3 2014. 2014, yes, announced in the same breath as Mario Maker, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Bloodborne. The early announcement for Crackdown 3 was probably a mistake. At least Shannon Loftus, general manager for Microsoft Studios Publishing, seems to think so. Quote, "I think we probably announced Crackdown too early," she told Polygon in a statement of the breathtakingly obvious. She continued, "We definitely underestimated the challenge of making sure the quality bar was high and it delivers on what we need to deliver on," which is PR speak for, "We'd been working on the game for 3 years and realized it sucked. Turns out it's hard to make a game."
Star Citizen, the perpetually upcoming super-massively multiplayer space game, has revealed a new feature: hyper-realistic facial recognition and capture technology that developer Cloud Imperium is calling the Face over Internet Protocol, or FOIP. The idea behind FOIP is that when players communicate with one another, it won't just be via voice chat coming from a normal avatar. Instead, the game will capture players' facial expressions and lip movements and map them to their avatars in real time to enable what CEO Chris Roberts calls the most lifelike player-to-player communication ever, which is cool if a little creepy and uncanny valley in practice, as you can see there. But anyhow, I'll just add this to the ever-growing pile of features Star Citizen will have, like flying spaceships, a persistent universe, a first-person shooter mode, trading, space combat, a galactic public transportation network, player guilds, alien languages, and a whole separate episodic single-player game called Squadron 42. Normally, this is the point in a checkpoint story where I'd be like, one of those wasn't real. But no, they're all supposed to be in the game. Even the public transportation system, because that's what I want from my hyper-realistic space simulations, is taking a space bus for 11 hours while I watch someone's lips talk at me in real time.
Overwatch's Mercy is seeing a big change to her abilities with a new update. No longer will the massive tide-turning full-team resurrection be the clutch play that demoralizes the enemy team into uninstalling the game and going to live in the woods. Instead, Mercy's resurrection will only hit one dead team member at a time and will have a 30-second cooldown, because it's moving to a secondary ability. Her new ultimate, finally making use of her no longer vestigial wings, now lets her fly. And that's about it. While she's flying, all her abilities are buffed and cooldowns reduced. But, that seems less flashy, but just wait until you think you're safe, until an Ana-boosted anger angel swoops over a building and pops a cap in your forehead.
HAL Laboratory, the second-party Japanese studio that makes the Kirby Picross and Super Smash Bros. Games for Nintendo, has opened up a mobile development studio called HAL Egg, and their first mobile game will be out in Japan this fall. So does this mean we get mobile Kirby or Super Smash Bros., or maybe even a mobile remaster of Earthbound? Well, I wouldn't hold your breath, but if you've been aching for more adventures of Lolo, I might have good news for you in the fall.
There's no shortage of Half-Life fanfic online, especially among fans desperate to bring some closure to the story left dangling by a barnacle tongue at the end of Half-Life 2 Episode 2. Well, last week, former Valve writer Mark Laidlaw posted a fanfic called Epistle 3, telling the tales of curiously familiar characters Gertie Fremont and Alex Vaught. Yes, it's supposedly the plot of the now comically vaporware Half-Life 2 Episode 3. And while it's technically fan fiction because it didn't get actually released in a literal Valve game, it is from the writer who was working on the series, so most people are accepting it as canon and receiving it with a mixture of relief that there's finally some closure for the Half-Life 2 story, and even further anger at Valve that the game never got made. It is kind of funny that after all these years, the most resolution we're getting is what Mark Laidlaw describes as a dream I had many years ago. But at least it's something. Though the final act crescendo, where Gertie and Alex are saved by handsome and wealthy sci-fi writer Marv Lockjaw and his friend Sonic the Hedgehog, could maybe use a rewrite.
Those Mercy changes seem like good news. I, for one, am looking forward to a shake-up in the Overwatch meta.
You don't play Overwatch.
No.
You don't even like any Overwatch streamers.
God, no. Even watching that game gives me motion sickness.
So why do you care?
We'll change what sort of fan art shows up on Tumblr. I'm getting bored of the standard for Mercy stuff. Maybe with the new aggro Mercy, we'll see some sexy roleplay action.
Uh-huh.
Let me enjoy the game in my own way, Graham.
Huh?
Coming up, rumor has it that HTC is looking to sell off its Vive VR division. If the Vive goes down, what does that mean for VR as a platform? No one can say in the long run, but in the short term, consumers will be limited to choosing between PlayStation VR, the Oculus Rift, and the cardboard thing that Google released when trying to decide which headset will be the Betamax of today's era.
It worked?
Wow, we did it! That was
worked.
Surprisingly flawless. Wait, that was live? Good job. Yeah, we did it.
Yay.
Yeah, what you guys didn't see is after we did the outro, I gave Graham a little bones because neither of us fucked up our stories.